This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I just want to come on a few minutes before I got to the real work of the day. Recap the NFL draft first round that took place last night in Detroit. As expected, Caleb Williams was selected number one overall by the Bears, and it appears to be a great pick. If you've been following all the interviews, Williams is the kind of guy that says the right things. If you sit there and listen to him, he's just not exciting to listen to, but the things that he's saying gets you excited if you're a fan of the sport. And the Bears evidently feel the same way. They selected Williams, and they've been knowing all along that they were going to take Williams, even in the way that this USC season ended last year kind of raised a few doubts. A lot of people saying, well, you can't lead a power-packed team like you had at USC to the playoffs. How are you going to take the Bears to the playoffs? Well, it's completely different in college. Lincoln Kennedy, the coach for the Trojans, he's more offensive-minded and not complete team-oriented. He's only concerned with trying to score points and make his teams look good, more so than trying to win a championship. I think he just want to put himself in position to look good. It kind of reminds me of Sean Payton. He's just so in love with his beautiful offense. And because he's so in love with his beautiful offense, he's not even concerned about the rest of the team. But that's just me saying that. That may not be true. It seems that way. And I think that the Trojans could go farther than what they have been, and if you don't mess around and start winning more games, big games at USC, Kennedy might be on his way out. So he had the Heisman Trophy winner in Williams, and he didn't do what was necessary to get to the next level. So Williams, I think, going to the Bears, he's not walking into a typical rookie situation. He's got pieces. He's got Keenan Allen, who's very effective, has been effective with the Chargers over the last several years. He picked up DJ Moore. You got a decent running game. You got veterans on offense and defense. And Chicago is one of those teams, they'll be good or great and threaten for a championship, but then they'll go dormant for a couple of years. Well, they've been dormant for a few years, but now they're on the way back. They ended the season in a flurry and almost made the playoffs. That didn't happen. But look what they got in the meantime. They got that number one pick, and he has an opportunity to lead this team to some great heights. I told you guys before that if Lamar Jackson could throw on a run like this guy Caleb Williams, they'd be unbeatable. And it looks like the Bears, if they can keep this guy upright, they might just be unbeatable, especially if he's able to escape the pocket and throw like he did in college. I think it would be, but that just remains to be seen. Also, quarterback-heavy first 10 and 12 picks of the draft. You had a Heisman Trophy winner for this year, Jaden Daniels. He ended up going to the Commanders. And then the darling from last draft, or the people who were expected to be the darling for last draft, Drake May, he finally came out, and he went number 3 to the Patriots. Then you have a couple of surprises that took place. The first one is a surprise to me because I'm not sure if this guy can play on the next level. J.J. McCarthy, who led Michigan to the national championship, the Vikings took him in the first round. And my question with him is, can his game translate to the next level? When you're able to run the football, it opens up a lot of doors. Using Lamar Jackson as a perfect reference. If they're able to run the football as a offensive system, and then he can run the football to complement that running game, then he's able to do other things that makes him great. But if you shut the running game down and he can't escape, he becomes a different player. And I think McCarthy, because Michigan was running the football, he's able to make passes like in play-action situations where receivers are going to be more open than they would be if you just had to drop back and pass. The pro game is more drop back and pass. I don't know if McCarthy can stand back there in the pocket and beat teams strictly with his arms and not running so much. He reminds me of the other JJ from Alabama. I think his name was McCarron, the same kind of player. He had a great team. They ran the football, and they had play action pass. The play action pass will always be a deadly tool in sport, in football. And if you can run the football, it's going to open things up. But I'm not sure that McCarthy can do it, just drop back and pass it, just much in the same way that I don't think Jackson can beat you strictly with his arm. The other surprise pick, Michael Penix Jr. I think he's a great quarterback, and it was going to be a great pick, whoever picked him up, especially in the first round. And that happened last night when the Falcons picked him up. That's only surprising because they just signed Kirk Cousins to, I think it's a 4-year, $180 million contract out of free agency. And Cousins, he's probably surprised more so than anybody because he thought he just pretty much had it made. But by doing this pick, the Falcons are telling Cousins, look here, man, I know you've been having some success, but if you can't stay upright and you can't do what we're paying you to do, then we're going to bring this young kid in here and he's going to do some things that you can't do and you just might not see the field again. So just because you got a contract now, that don't mean you're going to be able to keep it. So you better tighten your game up. But the question marks about Penix is that he's been hurt. He's had a lot of surgeries on his knees and he's only 24 years old. And they're saying, well, if he gets moved off his spot, will he be effective on the run? Well, you saw what Michigan was able to do to him. They moved him off the spot, and they got some good hits on him, and that made a big effect on that national championship. But Penix's top receiver, going back to Caleb Williams, he ended up going to the Bears. So that's yet another piece. You got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, you got those veterans running that football. The Bears are going to be dangerous. And you add a Duzé to the mix, that gives them another weapon they could use as Caleb Williams developed. But the fact that Penix is going to Atlanta, I think he's going to end up on the field quicker than a lot of other quarterbacks, especially Jaden Daniels. And I don't think it would be a good idea to just throw him out there in the mix right now. He needs to come along slowly and like the rest of the quarterbacks, sit there and learn your craft. And I think that Penix, he's probably going to hit the field quicker than all of them. I am not predicting success like what C.J. Stroud had, but he's going to be successful over the long run, I think. But it's still surprising to a lot of people because he just signed Kirk Cousins to this contract, even under the guys that the tampering charge that they're dealing with because of that. So that'd be something interesting to watch. But the other thing I want to talk about today, before I go to my real job, is Devin Haney. After getting beat up pretty good Saturday night, he finally came out and make a statement. And it's half and half with me. First, he acknowledges he got beat, but then he made the excuse that the weight, the 3 pounds that Garcia was over, made the difference. I don't think those 3 pounds make that much of a difference, because once you go through the weight and both fighters make weight, then you're going to have a time where both fighters gain weight. Is 3 pounds really that much of a difference? 13 pounds, yes, but 3, no. So he acknowledged losing the fight, but he wouldn't acknowledge that he just got beat. And that's essentially what happened. 3 pounds or no, you just got beat. And he didn't come out and acknowledge that. But what he did do, he wants a rematch. But the other disappointing part about this, and this is the part of boxing, De La Hoya, I guess he's the manager of Garcia, has said there's not going to be a rematch. Why not, De La Hoya? The man was a champion. He was undefeated. You just beat him. Why don't you come back and show it's not a fluke? Well, like always, the best fighters never seem to fight each other in boxing, and then it's almost like you hit a guy over the head with a brick when he don't see it, and then you run away, and then the man found out it was you. Now you don't want to come face him. That's what it seems like to me that Garcia is doing. But Garcia is saying he wants to go up because evidently it was a problem making the weight, which I think they knew was going to be a problem all along. That's why he made the bet with Haney that for every pound he was over, he was going to pay him $500,000. He was 3 pounds over, and he paid Haney $1.5 million, which I never would agree to. Plus, had he won weighed incorrectly, he would have had Haney's belt. But I think he knew all along that he didn't want to fight Haney again because Haney was going to make an adjustment to what he did by going in overweight. You don't have to worry about getting that belt for the mandatory rematch. And now you have options to do other things. But it sure makes it look like that they come into the fight knowing all along that they were going to be too heavy, and they gave them an advantage in the fight. But but that's boxing. You talk about the YouTubers getting into boxing, but the YouTubers are one that inject their life into the sport. Is dying because the best fighters never tend to fight each other until they get down to the end. So it's almost like this. Say 10 years from now, Garcia, he may come out of the woodwork and say he wants to fight Devin Haney again. Why? Why don't you fight him now? So these kind of things are what make boxing look bad. But it's going to be some interesting fights coming along. I'd like to see what Shakur Stevenson is going to do. And Crawford, he's already signed to fight this guy in a heavier weight class, so that should be a pretty good fight. And there's some good things coming down the pipe in boxing. But anyway, I just wanted to recap what happened last night in the draft. We knew Caleb Williams was going #1 with the Bears. That happened. Daniels went to the Commanders. Drake May went to New England. And the two surprises I want to talk about was J.J. McCarthy going to Minnesota, and Michael Penix ended up with the Falcons, even though they just signed Kirk Cousins to that big deal. So let's see how all this shakes out. They're going to do round 2 tonight. Another big weekend in sports, and I'll be right on top of it to let you know my take on all this situation that's taking place. But meanwhile, I got to go to work. You guys have a great day. This has been Sports for Real.